Good morning and welcome to another Power Users video. Hope things are going well for you. It's getting kind of chilly out there. Weather's getting into the fall. Looking forward to the fall, actually. Hopefully things will settle down a little bit. We'll see. Uh, the other day, instead of wishing me a great day, someone wrote me an email and just said, "I hope you have a calm Tuesday." And I thought, yeah, that's what I kind of hope for all of us. But Tuesday is gone. It's another day now. And in this video, I want to talk to you about just one tool that you may have ignored because you thought, why would I ever pay attention to that? I'm not ever going to create those kinds of things. Um, and yet, I want you to know that tool because it seems like it's dedicated to one thing, but you may be overlooking all of the ways that you can use that one thing. So today, I am not going to give you a full-blown tutorial of how to use this tool. I want you to just think about it, give it a little experiment. If you decide you want to learn more about it, just reach out to me. I'll be happy to help you with whatever you need. But instead of making everyone sit through a long tutorial, I just want to introduce you to something, show you a little bit about how it works and what it can do, and that is Google Sites. Now, don't go away. I know you're thinking, I'm not going to make a website, so I can just hit pause now and I don't need to watch this video. We will talk about making a website, but we will talk about making a website that will be used for all kinds of reasons other than a website. So stick around for that. When you get into Google Sites, kind of looks like this, although yours will not have as many options there because you haven't created recent sites. But we'll talk about that in a minute. First, I just want to show you the variety of ways that we've used Google Sites so that you can throw away the idea in your head that I'm not going to build a website, I'm not starting a business, I don't need a website. And you may be right in the classic sense. But let me show you the kinds of things that we have used websites for. And maybe that will trigger some ideas that maybe you could use. So, for example, we use a website for our onboarding every week. We have the slideshow built in, the things that we need to take staff through as a part of introducing them to River Street. We have the training videos that they're required to watch. We have the form that they need to fill out after they finish, and they can do that here. They can see the handbook, they can have a link to the handbook, or they can click the QR code and go right to the handbook. And then they have the form that also lets them say that they've read the handbook. And so we work our way through this as the presentation goes throughout the day to onboard new staff. When they go away for breaks or whatever, we just scroll down to the bottom and let them enjoy some photos of things happening around our building. They can see the kids and the staff at work. And then when they come back into the room, we just go back up to where we were, pick up where we left off, and continue with onboarding. So it's a way to walk staff through a professional development activity that includes every piece of interactivity that you need, including forms that you can fill out right here just by clicking on it. It'll take you directly to the form and you complete that form. Or you can have them use a QR code or a link, bring it up on their phone or their iPad or whatever, and complete their forms individually. So it's a great way to guide staff through a professional development activity. It is also a great way to create a newsletter. This is River Street's newsletter that we send out to families. And you can see that we have an opportunity to embed photos. And we have greetings, we have our table of contents, we have photo carousels that automatically forward through the photos as they go, or they can click and go faster if they want. We can put in all kinds of photos and text of things that have been happening during the year. You can see I can color code the background of sections so that that plays a role in it. It just goes on and on and on. You can use it for a school newsletter in the way that we're doing here, but it's very easy to put this together. So even if you need to help someone just do a classroom newsletter that you want to make available to families every month, or if you need to do an internal staff newsletter that is sharing resources with staff but not going out to families, this is a great way to do that because you can embed videos, photos, links to various places on the internet, forms, slideshows. Everything can be embedded right on this one page for everyone to click on. Let's go to another one. Here is our fall training video. So as we go through the fall training, we record all the activities that we do so that anyone who misses it can just come and click on that link and they will see that training. So they can see, here's what happened on one day, here was the next day, however we want to arrange it. And again, here's the form that they can fill out right here on the form, right here on the website. They can fill it out. They can hit submit at the bottom and show that they have completed watching these videos. So just another great way to walk staff through some training activities. Here's another example down at Birken. They have a link to their newsletter, which they also do as a part of Google Sites. You'll see that they can link. You can link to them, and they build their newsletter in the same way. Andrew and I work together on that. They have their various forms. They have correct general trainings. Then they have specific Birken trainings, their ABA orientations, articles that they're required to read, all those kinds of things. So now you're not walking staff through a one-day professional development, but you are giving them activities that walks them through an ongoing series of trainings over the course of a 60-day orientation or a 90-day orientation, or however you need to configure that. We have done, this is a page that has not been published yet, so I'm showing you the actual, oh, sorry, this one has been published. In a moment, I'm going to show you some that haven't been published. This was one that we used last year, so we're no longer sharing this, but this was our document that we shared for distance learning activities, the various kinds of Connecticut State Department plans that you needed to submit, how to submit your remote learning schedules, how to teach remotely, technology tips for doing all of that. Because this is a page that's now a year out of date, a couple of the URLs that we linked to have been moved. But you can see there are the forms here that they would need to download. They could even bookmark it in their browser. Samples of how to do different kinds of remote learning schedules, the different tools they would need, and so forth. So you can see that was also a great resource for staff, not specifically a professional development activity, but still a great resource. This is one that has not been published yet, but that we are working on with CREC. How to establish and set good professional development and career goals, ideas for career goals, professional development, SMART goals. There are different kinds of forms that it links to. There are some videos and documents that it links to. So there are all kinds of resources there for staff, and this would be something that we are putting together for new staff throughout CREC. So it gives you quite a variety of things here, including instructional practices, behavior supports, and again, some support for different technology uses. Here's one we used during quarantine. We provided tech resources for families because suddenly we were doing so many Zoom things and Google Classroom things, and families didn't have experience with those things either. So we were trying to provide resources for that, whether it was video conferencing on your computer or video conferencing on a phone or iPad. And you can see those things, they're 2 years out of date now. But it just gives you an idea that you can put together a resource packet for families, whether it's about technology or behavior or supporting their students in the classroom or whatever you might choose. We have done complete professional development trainings. Here was many of you have taken my 5-part course on Google Basic Skills. The entire course runs through this website. You get it as a series of emails. Each email has a link, and the link that you get would be taking you to this page if it was week number 1, and you would see the videos that you need to watch, and then you would see your sample homework activity if there's a bonus video involved. But it is all working off of one website that is holding all of that together for you. So you can see you can put together an entire training curriculum with different websites just linked together. Here's another one that we haven't published yet, but we were looking at using a website just as a matter of, um, of giving different resources to teachers. So here are resources for matching activities. We were looking at doing a different page of the website for different types of activities. And so we're still just playing with that to see how that goes. And the last example, and this is enough examples, this was when teachers were working from home, but CREC is still allowing some teachers to work from home or some staff to work from home. So we did provide some tech resources for that, whether you're using Google Classroom, video conferencing, Nearpod, Google Extras, email management. Again, just a lot of resources. And hopefully what you can see is there's a variety of things you can do. You can link to videos that are on YouTube. You can link to videos that are built into your Google Drive. You can link to other websites. You can link to Google Slides, all of that. It's easy. So this was almost 9 minutes, but we reviewed about 9 or 10 different examples. And I just want to spend about 9 more minutes or so, probably not any longer than that, just showing you how easy this is to use. So let's just take a very casual, very brief look at how to set up a basic Google site. And like I said earlier, if you really want to learn to do this, there are tons of resources out there. Just a quick Google of YouTube, how to set up a Google site will do it. But you can also give me a call at any time. I'm more than happy to help. When you go to sites, you're just going to sites.google.com. And this is the landing page that you will see. You won't have any recent sites, so there won't be anything down there. You'll just see this top row that says start a new site, and you'll see they show you a few templates that you can use, or you can use a blank one. If you click here where it says template gallery, it will expand that template gallery. There's nothing there from CREC. We don't have any CREC templates for websites, but there are some general ones, and you'll see whether you're doing a portfolio or maybe a club and it needs to set up one. Maybe it's a class newsletter. There are some that are built around teams and projects. Here's one for the holiday parties. That won't stay there for long. Google will slowly change these templates, but they don't put very many there because it's so simple to use Google Sites. You just really don't need a template, but you can certainly click on one of those and start if you want. I'm going to back up and just go with a blank site so you can see what a blank page looks like. This is where you will start if you don't start with a template. If you start with a template, some of these things, the title and that gray box and some of those things will already be filled in with samples, but you could change any of those samples. There's nothing magical about those. They're just placeholders. So when you are creating your site, you are really just working on a page that sort of never ends. You can keep it going for as long as you want. So the key here is to look over on the right-hand side and you can see the things you can insert. A text box, an image, something from your Google Drive, or an embed code. Now that embed code, that's where you put in your URL. If you want to do that, you will have embed codes if you publish Google slideshow that you want to include here. So you can see those 4 things. Those are the things that are most often stuck onto a website, so they are right at the top. You can get those same 4 options just by double-clicking anywhere with your mouse to insert text, an image, upload something from your computer, whether it's a photo or a video or whatever, link to Google Drive or an embed code. And with the embed code, you can see it's a URL. That's where you would put in a URL for a YouTube video or a website you want to guide them to. Anything that has a URL code you could link to. If it has an embed code, you would just click here and stick that embed code in. Either way, works just fine. Now, as you continue down, I'm going to see if I can get rid of that pop-up that just popped up on my screen that really doesn't relate to me. There we go. As you scroll down, you can see content blocks. That's a way to make it easier to put in a bunch of things at once. So let's say, you saw some of those pages where we had lined up numerous pictures across the page. So I can just click this content block over here with the 3 little mountains and then the 3 little lines underneath. That lets you know media and text. So when I click here, I can upload an image or a video. I can select something if I have it in my Google Images, in my Google Drive, if I have a link, if it's been shared with me. I can also go to YouTube. I can stick in a calendar. I can stick in a map. Whatever I want to stick there, I can stick it there. So let's just say I want to go over here and grab an old staff photo. And let's see, I'll grab Chuck. And I throw him in there, and that's all it takes. I can crop that if I need to. It will do some automatic cropping to try to make it fit, and I can uncrop that. I can change the size of it, and as I start to drag the size, you see these vertical lines on the page. It's always going to snap to one of those lines. You can't just stop between lines, but you can go to any line, and it's going to kind of snap to that spot. So you can see I can just keep playing with how it works there. Double click, enter my text. I've got text styles. I've got access to all my Google fonts. So I'm going to put in, this is Chuck. We'll turn that off for a moment. And I can continue to add text. If I don't need that second text box, I can just delete it. So you can see it's easy to add things using these content blocks. Out here to the side, you see there are other options. Here are my section colors. What do I want to make the background color of this section? There's an option. It can go gray, or I can go back to white. Or I can insert an image as the background, but it's going to fill in this whole block from this edge where it ends, where it bumps into the gray, to this slight dotted line here. So that's going to be the size of that block. If I make the text in here bigger, if I stretch one of these way down, then let's see if I can make all these go away and give you an example here. If I make it smaller, you can see that got smaller. You can see the block is resizing based on the content in the block. But that's the size. I can duplicate that section if I want to just do another one. If it's all wrong, I can delete it. And you'll also see there's some tiny little dots there. As I get multiple sections, I can change the order of sections. I can pull this one down, stick another one above it, so you can manipulate things as much as you like. Very, very easy to do. The other options down below are things that you can insert, but that you would use less often. A collapsible group means like if you need to put in, a bunch of bullet points, but you really want it to collapse and they just see the title, but when they click on the title, the text expands. Table of contents, you saw that in one of our examples. You can insert a table of contents, and what that table of contents is going to do is every time you put in text, it's going to put anything that's listed as a title or a heading, it's going to put that in your table of contents. You can control that later, but that's how it's going to default. Image carousel, that's a series of rotating images. I can put in a button that will link somewhere. I can put in dividers, and that's just going to add a little line between sections. It's almost hard to see, but if you just go with completely white background, you'll see there is a line between each section. That line will show up when you publish the page, so it's just to give people a visual break if there's different content, if you need to separate that. I can include a spacer, which just gives me a bigger space between things if I want. Social links lets me insert, do I need to link to my program's website, my program's Facebook page, my program's Twitter account? Do I have a Snapchat or whatever? Any link that you want to put to a social media type site, you can do that. It will create the little icons that you would use for a website or whatever. So you would see, let's see, if I do www.crec.org. Now I can choose, do I want that to be a square? And because it's a website, it's just putting it in as a little odd looking little link. But I can give it some color. I can make it, and I've made, and I'm going to tell you why it's not working. I was trying to quickly put it in there and show you. These are designed to go into the footer of your website, so it's not really working well in this spacer location. But that's what that means, is you can put it in the footer of your document at the end. Placeholders, if I want to put a placeholder here next to Chuck, but I'm going to come back and stick in a photo later, I can put it there. YouTube, a direct link to a YouTube video, a direct link to a calendar page, a Google Map, a Docs, a slideshow, a Google Sheet you can put in there. And it's an active sheet. They can scroll around, they can do things unless you've protected the sheet. So you can actually have people edit the sheet and work on the sheet right in the site. An active Google form, and finally you can just show a chart that is pulling data from a Google Sheet. So you can put all of these things in a website, and you see how easy it is to add them. This is my home page. I can add more pages. I can duplicate this page, but I can just add a subpage. And my subpage is going to be my About Me page. So now I've got a page about me, and once I have a subpage, now I have an option for how to navigate my website so that the people can jump from one page to another. And you can continue building subpages. And that's how you would end up with, a monthly newsletter for staff or whatever if you wanted, by creating subpages is one way to do that. Themes. There are some themes. You can see this is the gray theme. If I click Aristotle, it's going to change. It'll change the line, change the font style, diplomat, vision, level, and impression. And that's the only themes they give you. I want to wrap up just by looking at another blank sample site here, just so we can look at the information across the top so you understand the final tools to work with. I'm going to start with this one right here. It looks like a picture of a computer, and that's sort of what it is. That lets you preview your website. If you click on it, you'll get to see your site in 3 ways: as a computer, as a tablet, or as a phone. It's nice to be able to preview this in advance, because sometimes if you insert a really large item, a large graphic or a large video, on a phone it might not look the best, and this gives you a chance to see that and to make those adjustments. Another tool that I want you to be aware of is this little guy with the plus sign. This will give you an opportunity to share your site with other people, either to invite them in as an editor, but also once you publish your site, this is where you will make it a public site so that whoever has the link can see the site. The settings, you have a few settings that you can play with. One is navigation. Do you want there to be a pull-down menu at the top of the page to let people go to page 2 and 3, or do you want a list over on the side? The other one that I will point out is the announcement banner. This lets you turn it on, and this will put a brightly colored banner across the top of your website so that a visitor to your page will be alerted to a special announcement or some new addition to the page that you want to draw their attention to. Lastly, publish. Once you hit publish, your site is out there for the world to see, but that doesn't mean you can't change it. You can work on it all you want. No one will see your work, so you're just here in the editing page, making changes, making additions, updating how you want your site to look. No one will see that change until you hit publish again. And then the new changes will take the place of what had existed before. So you've got plenty of time in the background. Continue to tweak your site, add to it, make it better, whatever you feel like you need to do. All right, there's more we could cover over there with the pages and themes and so forth, but if you want to build a site, let me know and I'll help you with that. This is just to get you started thinking about all the different ways you could use a website besides just as a website, and how easy it can be to create a site that you're going to use to walk people through some professional development, to share as a newsletter, to use as resources for staff, or what other creative ideas you might have. Anybody can come here and build a website, but using Google Sites, a tool that's really built for one thing, and figuring out how else you can use that tool to meet your needs, that's really what being a power user is all about.